How's it going, everybody? To all my YouTubers and Instagrammers, welcome to the next video on Starting on Cinemas. That's Cinemas with an S. And in today's episode on Marvel Mondays, I'll be giving you my review on The Punisher from 2004. So before I begin, if you are new to this video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment on the section below. You know the rest, and the same thing goes if you're on Instagram. So let's get to it. This dark action film, based on the comic book series that goes by the same name, The Punisher, follows FBI agent Frank Castle, played by Thomas Jane, as he transforms into the vengeful Punisher after criminals murder his family, including his wife and son. Castle is gravely injured in the attack and believed to be dead by Howard Saint, played by John Travolta, the crime lord who ordered the hit on the family. Now, following his recovery, Castle becomes a heavily armed vigilante who will stop at nothing to exact revenge on Saint and dismantle his underworld empire. Now, I try, like I do with some movies like this. I try my best to enjoy movies like this, but I didn't know what to expect because I had never seen Punisher before. But let's talk about it. So, the earlier Marvel movies in the 2000s have a lot of mixed entertainment, while some of the movies can be super fun and engaging, like the X-Men films and the Spider-Man movies, and others can feel dull, mediocre, and simply underwhelming, like Blade and this movie, The Punisher. The Punisher is one of those movies that is, like I said, is down there with Blade. But as a movie buff, I tend to give a movie a chance before I decide whether I like it or dislike it. In spite of what the Rotten Tomatoes score is on that movie, I always go through and give it a shot. And with movies like The Punisher, I went for it, and here's what I have to say. At first, The Punisher seemed like a movie that could work on its own and not be one of the Marvel screw-ups. But the way the film opened up made it look like it was going to be a decent action flick. I mean, it's The Punisher. The fact that it's Frank Castle, aka The Punisher, I don't expect some overwhelmingly epic action Marvel movie. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not X-Men. It's not the Hulk. It's not Spider-Man. He's a simple anti-hero. He's a simple, dark, and violent anti-hero. And that's what I could expect from this movie, and that would fit in the atmosphere of the character. But for a movie that is based on a vengeful killer who is dedicated to punishing those who do evil, it sure lacks the necessary amount of action. Like, trust me, I'm not even gonna lie. This movie put me to sleep. Okay, like I tried my best to stay awake. Like even with Tenet, like that's why I had to watch it twice before I gave you my review on that movie, because I was sleeping on that a lot, even on the second time. But even on this movie, I tried my best to stay awake, and I mean, it just feels underwhelming throughout. But the only good scene in this movie, because let's keep it a rule of the thumb, some bad movies do have good scenes. But the only good scene in this movie is when Frank Castle was going up against the Russian brute, and the climax only has a certain amount of action that feels more intimate than epic. The characters. The Punisher is another Marvel character that has had more success on Netflix's end, but Thomas Jane's performance was the proper level of a traditional action hero, or in this case, anti-hero. And you know, if you're a huge pop culture nerd, you know the difference between a hero and an anti-hero. But if you're a general moviegoer, let me explain what an anti-hero is. Deadpool is an anti-hero. Spider-Man is not an anti-hero. Because an anti-hero is somebody who does good, but he does it in the nasty way. Like an anti-hero is pretty much somebody who does good, but usually what they do, their actions involve fatal consequences. But the origin story of how Frank Castle becomes the Punisher is no different from most heroes who become dark vigilantes, but there is a difference between being code-driven and revenge-driven. I know that the Punisher is technically an Avenger, and by Avenger, I don't mean he's on the literal team of Avengers Assemble. I mean, he is somebody who's fighting for his family, but what I'm saying is that some heroes are driven by their past, some are driven by principalities, and others are driven by both. Heroes like Daredevil, Spider-Man, and Punisher are driven by principalities and standards. Heroes like Batman are driven by both their past and their principalities. Better yet, if you actually think about it, Frank Castle is actually driven by both because he is avenging his family and he vows to prevent any and all evil in the world, whether it's a murderer, robber, thief, rapist, criminal, etc., you name it. The Mexican mafia in the movie is another thing that makes it feel less like a Marvel film and more like a generic action movie. Like I said, because this is Marvel, I'm not expecting it to be something overwhelmingly action-packed, but we've had, like, even in the MCU, I'm gonna go a little off topic real quick, but even in the MCU, when you look at some of the base level threats in those movies, like Captain America, the Winter Soldier, that's a realistic threat, but it can still be awesome, you know what I'm saying? But like, even the shootouts here didn't feel as awesome, and sure, they were low quality, and there were some skillful shots done by Frank Castle, but other than that, it wasn't really a lot to offer in some of these sequences. It pretty much started out with an ambush that turned into a grudge match that turned into punishment. The conflict is really put in that order. Rotten Tomatoes gives The Punisher a 28% score. Now, I know I said I don't like these movies, but I don't think it's necessary to go that low. The Punisher did not really hit it home for me. I'm going to be honest. Constructive criticism, because that's my job. Constructive criticism. It did not really hit it home for me. I think they could have done better with the action. I think they could have made the characters a little more like, okay, I think they could have made Frank Castle, made us feel a little more sorry for him. I mean, like I said, he's like a lot of heroes who lose people that are close to him, who just becomes a vigilante overnight. And I think there's no reason to question how he becomes an assassin because he's an FBI agent to begin with. So he already has his hands on plenty of artillery. But if it was not a Marvel movie, I would have expected everything that I saw. But considering the fact that it is a Marvel film, and to see a generic approach with the characters, the action, and the whole revenge plot feels like it is just a waste. So for that, I will give it 4.4 SOs out of 10. Like I said, it's down there with Blade. So if you like this movie, I'm not saying that, I don't blame you. I mean, if you love it, good, you love it. But I'm one of the few people that's not really impressed with The Punisher. So that is my review on The Punisher. You can let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section below. Whether you're watching this on YouTube or you're watching this on Instagram, whether you like it or not, you can let me know. And I'll see you guys tomorrow with my next video. Bye.